Godzilla, everyone's favorite monster beating giant lizard, starring his roots from October 27, 1954, first released in Nagoya, Japan. The King of Monsters has created big scenes in cinema from then onward, with the most recent installment being Godzilla X Kong The New Empire. This paper will compare the differences towards the two films Godzilla Final Wars, released in 2004, and Godzilla 2014, being chosen as both the same genre as kaiju, meaning a movie where it centers around a giant, big, strange monster. In both cases, being Godzilla, the genre also serves as a subgenre for tokusatsu, a style in filmmaking which uses a lot of practical effects, although this is seen more within Final Wars. But for the most part, both movies contain the same genre of action. I chose Godzilla Final Wars due to it being the last movie set in the Millennium Era, from 1999 to 2004. While Godzilla 2014 starts in the present day, as said before, with the most recent installment, Godzilla X Kong The New Empire, another reason why I chose the two movies is due to the effects themselves. Final Wars leans into the tokusatsu aspect and kaiju aspect of filming, where they use bodysuits and more choreographed stunts to have Godzilla fight. From the fight as well as the usage of pyrotechnics and practical effects such as explosions. While America's 2014 Godzilla focuses on the CGI aspect of filming, turning Godzilla into a computer generated or CGI monster, the third and final reason being because I want to see how different countries can interpret and make a film about Godzilla. As Japan and America can have different views towards how Godzilla will be portrayed onto the big screen and how its audiences will perceive the character. Lastly, I have to fill in my social context and set them apart. For Final Wars, I'm looking towards history and culture. Reasons being because the movie marks the 50th anniversary of Godzilla, as well as Godzilla holding an important symbol in Japanese history. As for the culture, it'll tie in as well. It'll also tie in for 2014 Godzilla. I'll be looking at the industrial context and economical context due to how the film differs economically, and as well as the industrial production towards the film itself, how it differs from the traditional way it used to be filmed back in Japan. After all of movies being made in different countries, there are approaches towards creating Godzilla. With Final Wars, its first difference is unmistakable, as there are more human like movements and puppet like movements when it comes to the monsters being shown, especially when they are walking or fighting one another. While in the 2014 movie, it's more CGI oriented, but it makes the fight seem a little bit more grounded and limited to how it was in Final Wars. While Final Wars does have its fair share of CGI, namely the fight with Kaiser Ghidorah and Monster X, it still keeps the movie true to how it was always shot. Tsutomu Kitagawa is a suit actor of Godzilla who had other notable roles, with the rebirth of Mothra 3, where he played Ghidorah, as well as playing Godzilla in Godzilla 2000 Millennium, all the way to Godzilla Final Wars, while they had Guglielmo Rocheron, I hope I said that right, a French visual supervisor, a French visual effects supervisor, with his name being under the Batman Begins, Harry Potter, The Goblet of Fire, and he's most recently known for making Jordan Peele's Nope movie. First and foremost, there are also approaches towards the plot. Sure, both movies are going to have the different plot points as any other movie. Since Final Wars is celebrating the 50th anniversary of Godzilla, they were going to show plenty of monsters. Meanwhile, Legendary's Godzilla was the beginning of what's now known as the Monsterverse, so they're going to do an origin story of the new installment of Godzilla franchise, being separate from its original counterpart. However, what is going to be touched upon is the approach to the story, as Final Wars focuses on the human side of the story rather than the monster fight and plot. As Final Wars plot contains aliens dubbed as aliens come into Earth to seemingly help people while taking away the giant monsters. However, meanwhile, the humans who have created the organization to combat these monsters called Earth Defense Force (EDF), they have mutants, superhumans dubbed mutants fighting in the force. The story focuses on the protagonist Shinichi Ozaki as he combats the alien dubbed Controller X as he wants to destroy Earth. Meanwhile, 2014 Godzilla, the story focuses on Ford, an EOD Navy officer, as he and his father discovered the truth about a plane collapse that killed Ford's mom. However, the plot focuses on stopping the Muto, massive unidentified terrestrial organism, with many weapons to no avail, with the Muto singling a mated call with another Muto, being that one being a female. So Godzilla steps in, and though it's a different structure, it somewhat holds a similar stance between both movies, having Godzilla being the last hope for Earth. However, the films both do portray a similar theme of the term anti-hero. An anti-hero or anti-heroine is a main character in a narrative who may lack some conventional heroic qualities and attributes. To put it simply, in both movies, Godzilla isn't fighting the monsters because he wants to protect people. That's because he's just fighting for survival, and the monsters just disrupt them. As in Final Wars, he still causes destruction in the city while fighting his foes and making his way towards them. The same thing applies in Godzilla 2014, where he just fights to eliminate the Mutos, the villains of the movie. Yet, this applies to a historical context towards Godzilla, as it's known that Godzilla is a symbol of what a nuclear devastation a bomb can cause. This is the historical context towards Godzilla back in the Showa to Heisei era, referencing the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombing. Modern day Godzilla still portrays that message now, especially with another recent movie, Godzilla Minus One. Another element I want to touch upon is the lighting. Lighting helps give the effect based on the mood or action the movie targets. Both movies portray a similar usage of the color palette as well. For example, in Final Wars, there is a mix between different shades of blue and brightness within mainly the dull light colors in the background, as seen in the fight scenes and the human scenes. And it so happens that Godzilla 2014 also holds the same lighting color palette. This is seen with many scenes, as the dark, dull colors adds a sense of dread, fear, and danger of the monsters attacking. Being held when Godzilla 2014 has its dark clouds and bright coloring that is seen throughout Final Wars, especially in the motorcycle scene and the motorcycle fight scene between Shinichi and his ally. Whereas Godzilla 2014, there is a more unsaturated color scene in the final fight between Godzilla and the Mutos, where there are dark clouds, but when Godzilla uses atomic breath on the Muto, or anywhere where it lights up the screen heavily, adding a huge sense of victory and hope to the audience view. In the economical structure, there is a vary in how the films were produced, as both had different budgets and they both scale highly, with Final Wars having 4 billion yen or $19.5 million in today's money, while Godzilla 2014 held $160 million as its budget. But what's the significance of this? It has to do with the main distribution of the money that was spent to make the film. Final Wars, being mainly a Japanese production, focused more on its action and practical effects, with the explosions and flame being practical as well. The sparks that fly when the enemies fight are also practical. The fights and suits were mainly practical. Monster X levitating was also practical, as well as Kamakonga shooting its webs was practical too, along with the cities being destroyed, as they had to build those miniature figures to have the monsters on set. The things that were not practical were King Caesar's eyes shooting beams, as well as the main alien fight where both fighters are trying to go fast but trying to hit one another, that being the Shinichi fight with Controller X, a piece that was impractical in the final fight with Kaiser Ghidorah having CGI heads. That was another thing that was CGI made. As well as the boat where the soldiers were on. Only one where that camera stand is built. Well, they had a green screen to put the other boats in the sea, but overall, the workers did a great job bringing the giant lizard come to life. Same thing said with the monster fights, as they can't be underestimated to how great the movements came out. Very fluid and realistic to how a giant lizard would fight a flying creature, and a sense of realism. There's also shots where they had an actual shot in with people and then changed the weather conditions with CGI when Godzilla appears in the edits. Overall, both movies from different countries serve a great purpose towards the portrayal of Godzilla films. Whether it's CGI or stunt suits, or focuses on the cameras, all the movies have good sentiment to what makes a good movie. So overall, which country did better? The answer is subjunctive. It's subjunctive towards you. Yes, you the viewer. Your opinion should matter to you only. No one else's opinion should change what you think better. Overall, if you like the practical entertainment, then Final Wars is the movie for you. As well if you like to focus on humans. Similar to Godzilla 2014, if you like more CGI oriented filmography, then that's the choice for you. Overall, both movies are great.